Today, Vast Networks is building Africa's first open access Wi-Fi network. My guest today is Mr. Grant Marais, CEO of Vast, and we'll ask him what his strategy is for bringing affordable access to Africa with Wi-Fi, of course. Join us right after this short message. All right, everybody, welcome back. My name is Claus Hetting, and I'm the host of Wi-Fi Now TV. And this, of course, is the interview program that brings you all the great stories and all these other great people from across the Wi-Fi industry. And we've been away for a while, but we're back now with a vengeance. So even today, we're going to be recording 3 new episodes, which is great. And we're going to release those in the coming weeks with a lot of good stuff in them. So there's a lot going on in Wi-Fi right now. But today we're going to focus on what I think is one of the most important topics that we deal with on this program, and that's affordable connectivity with Wi-Fi, and with a special focus on emerging markets, of course. So my guest today is Grant Marais of Vast Networks, and Grant has a big and impressive vision on how to bring affordable connectivity to the mass market in South Africa. We'll ask Grant all about that in just a moment. Before we get to that, I want to make a couple of quick announcements. So here's the first one. We are going to have 2 great new Wi-Fi Now events this fall. We have The Hague coming up for our European event. So that's in the Netherlands, end of October. And for the first time, we're going to be taking Wi-Fi Now to Asia, specifically to Bangkok at the end of November this year. So if you're interested in a role in our 2 upcoming events, don't delay. Get in touch with me now at klaus@wifinowevents.com. For all the details and registration, go to wifinowevents.com, of course, as well. And while you're there, make sure you check out our new Wi-Fi news section. We've been working extremely hard on getting you all the latest Wi-Fi news and information. So make sure you subscribe to that and read it, subscribe to it, and you'll get the weekly emails, news emails from us. There's a lot of good stuff in there as well. Also, I want to point out that we have the Wi-Fi Now Awards coming up this fall with 6 categories, including Best Wi-Fi Startup, Best Service Provider, Best Wi-Fi In-Home Product, Best Innovation, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to get recognized for all the great work that you're doing, make sure you check out our website at wifinowevents.com/awards. And by all means, enter the awards. We want to see a lot of nominees for these awards, and we'll have shortlists, and the awards will finally be awarded at our Wi-Fi Now event in Europe, in The Hague in October. So lots of things going on, folks, but back to our guest for today. And my guest today is Grant Marais, CEO of Vast Networks. Grant, great to see you again. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Klaus.
Grant, give us first the 1-minute introduction to Vast Networks.
So I'm going to recap on something that you've seen before, Klaus, which was the slide that I showed at your Cape Town event, which was kind of the islands of the world. And that's how we kind of saw Wi-Fi previously, was this disconnected, disjointed consumer experience where something that's really meant to drive the affordable connectivity to a wider audience became this fragmented experience that ended up clunky. The experience wasn't consistent, but particularly in something that was meant to be cheap per meg per gig turned out to be effectively more expensive than GSM. So our vision's really been to create one ubiquitous footprint that anybody, be that an ISP, a telco, quite frankly, a brand, a community that wants to offer, ISP type services, being selling data or data bundles or connectivity solutions or educational content to their customer base or their communities, is able to use this footprint ubiquitously nationally across South Africa.
Right, and so when I spoke to you last, you likened your approach to Wi-Fi a little bit to the same approach that's used for example, open access fiber. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? I think that was essentially what you were getting at there, right?
Yeah, so I think in your opening you mentioned, Africa's first open access network. We categorically that we know we Africa's first. We think we're actually the world's first open access Wi-Fi network in that we don't offer consumer services. We're an enabling layer of infrastructure to people to deliver that. And I think everybody's familiar with, fiber open access. Fiber comes to your home, select the ISP or telco that you want, and engage with them. And you're ambivalent to the infrastructure layer. You just expect a quality experience wherever you go. That's kind of what we're doing in the Wi-Fi space, which is one infrastructure layer that the consumer can get to choose whom they would like to interact with. And that may be on a price basis, an offering basis, a coverage basis, a value add basis. But I think particularly, what I did share previously with you was our ambition to use Wi-Fi as a method of connectivity to the unconnected within Africa. And as we know, there are many. And, we positioning that as fiber to the home via Wi-Fi, or Wi-Fi to the home using fiber. And in a township, very close to where I'm sitting right now, in a township for context is where a lot of informal dwelling, it's very poor, a lot of poverty, a lot of people that don't have employment. We have fiber-based services not 5 kilometers from here, where there are no paved roads, where people are living in tin huts as opposed to brick and mortar buildings, but yet they have the same connectivity solutions to their homes. They may not have a fixed address, they may not be able to get post reliably, they may not be able to get certain services reliably, but they have a broadband experience better, actually, I would say, than the wealthiest person in this country, quite frankly.
Right. So your network is used by other service providers, so to speak, for them to deliver their services. So I know you're working with a few, so do you mind going through a little bit of that for us, who you're working with and so on?
Yeah, so naturally, the two incumbent customers that the business started with were the historic operators of the footprint, and that being MWeb ISP, which was a consumer ISP, as well as Always On. And Always On was the original first mover in this market in terms of consumer Wi-Fi. Those were our original customers. They remain our customers today, but we've expanded dramatically from them. And we have a range from Always On being a Wi-Fi only, Wi-Fi first player, through to we have Vodacom On, who's a major telco, major mobile network operator, and a lot of in between. We have niche players that are looking after certain communities. And most recently, we're very excited to have welcomed to our business Liquid Telecom. So as you know, Liquid Telecom has a very good presence throughout Africa and recently acquired a business in South Africa. And as part of their rebranding and relaunch, we actually took Liquid Telecom live across our network. And probably worth stating, we do that in 2 different ways. We do a pure virtual network offering. So in the case of Liquid Telecom, the network presents as Liquid Telecom with their SSID, their captive portal, their landing pages, down to it'll actually be a layer 2 service using their own AS. Mm-hmm. Going through to, let's say, Always On, which is also a VNO, it's a layer 3 service. And then we have an aggregate SSID that we use to catch, everybody. We're very against overpopulating the infrastructure with SSIDs for vanity's sake. We're very focused on experience. But again, we've invested so much at the center of our network to improve end user experience. So we no longer deploy very much edge user equipment. In terms of edge deployment, it's literally just switch AP now.
Right. So it sounds to me like you're laying the groundwork for, basically in the same way as open access fiber, in some cases, has laid the groundwork for multiple vendors of services on top of that. And it does seem like you're attracting more service providers on your infrastructure already at this point. I mean, do you expect this to continue and maybe spread to the other mobile operators or in South Africa, for example, or other companies?
Well, while we certainly hope that is the case, and currently we're busy in pre-commercial testing for GSM offload using our network, we've seen the evolution in the space actually, because the traditional way that telecommunication services have been used is telco companies offering telco services to telco customers. What we see now is the evolution of consumer brands, particularly FMCG brands, that see this as an enablement for their greater business, whether that be from a loyalty perspective, whether that be from an education around product perspective. And we're seeing the shift now is you're not going to buy or get Wi-Fi from a telco. It's going to be your favorite shampoo brand that is rewarding you consistently buy their product, and you get a gig per month or whatever the case may be from them, or your bank. you may hit a certain tier within your bank or with your insurance company. We've seen how Wi-Fi is now used as a VAS for that.
Right, exactly. So it could be public-facing enterprises, essentially, right? So banks, Nando's, retail, anything like that, right? And are you also going after that segment right now actively?
Absolutely. We see anybody that has a billing relationship with a group of consumers as being a potential user for this network. You do not have to be a telco. We've gone down the route now of, we call it ISP in a box. You could be the likes of a retail brand, like you've mentioned. You don't have to know what a capture portal is. You don't have to know what a AAA is. You just say, I want to offer this product to my customer, and we'll productize that on a white label basis and let them deal with their customer, directly, so that the value proposition or the relationship is between that entity and the customer. And again, we just play an enablement layer behind that.
Mm-hmm. So what are the big mobile broadband operators in South Africa? What are they saying about this? Obviously, as I understand it, you're working with, was it Vodacom? No, right. So, yes. But what about the others? Do you think they feel threatened, or they see this as an opportunity? And what does that look like?
I can't speak to their state of mind around that, and you've asked me a very loaded question when I want that to be my customer naturally. But I think it's no secret in this country there's been a massive populist movement recently. You just have to go through social media and see the hashtag data must fall, where there's a very big pushback against the pricing around mobile data within this country. Wi-Fi data, as a contrast, is 20 to 40x cheaper than the equivalent prepaid GSM product. So I think, do they see Wi-Fi as a challenger to their business? I think Wi-Fi inherently has something that it will never be able to achieve that GSM can, and that's ubiquitous coverage. I think we can't get away from the fact that Wi-Fi may have a higher throughput, it may be able to be delivered on a cheaper means, but it will never have ubiquitous coverage. I think, Wi-Fi is for where you're stationary most of the time, and I think we all accept now that that's actually when we're also consuming data. But I think the GSM operators, they're very established. They've built full nationwide coverage for a number of years now. And I think, they have a part to play in the value chain, but we've seen the emergence now of LTE-A and LTE-U. We've just recently in South Africa had an LTE-A network launched, which is focused on broadband, so that the space is evolving constantly.
Mm-hmm. Right. And with all the experience that you have on the ground in South Africa, what would you say are the main challenges in bringing Wi-Fi out to the mass market? And I'm thinking in the sense of both technical and business challenges, but I mean, the technical challenges of getting Wi-Fi out there are obviously also there, and you need to put a lot of infrastructure in place, right?
So the first challenge, Africa in the whole has this, and ironically, South Africa has it more so than the balance of the rest of the continent, and that is just the state of general connectivity. So terrestrial connectivity is very, very poor. South Africa in particular is very far behind the rest of the continent in terms of fibering up the country. Mm-hmm. And it's more that base layer backhaul network that we struggle, to get in the areas. I mentioned Diepsloot, the township near here. It doesn't have paved roads. Do you imagine that somebody's put fiber ducted in there for us to do that? So there's let's call it the environmental challenges, first of all. I think one of the biggest challenges that we've had is we see ourselves as an enabling layer for the future of our country. Government has this ambition for broadband penetration, but if private enterprise doesn't play its part, that's never going to happen. And one of the challenges that we have is if you've never used the internet. So I mentioned to you earlier, Diepsloot's 180 meg, download, 170 meg upload in a township with no paved roads. But if you've never used the internet, what does that mean to you? So what we're really still grappling with is the educational aspects around what is Wi-Fi, what is the internet. The word internet doesn't translate into local language, for instance. So how do you describe that? How do you explain that value proposition is there for, to make your life better, for community upliftment? So what we've done, and this is no CSI investment, you've naturally seen no press around this. We don't speak about this very publicly. We give away a lot of free data because if you've never experienced the internet, if you've never experienced high-speed internet, why would you ever want to buy it? And we certainly have also created a layer for a user that doesn't have to buy something. I mentioned poverty. We have a massive walled garden, for want of a better description, but it's essentially a big content portal that if you don't have money to buy even very cheap data via Wi-Fi, you can still be a citizen in a digital ecosystem. You can read current news, you can read lifestyle stories, you can do job seeking, you can get free educational information, because again, we see this as an enablement layer for the future.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the actual business case for doing this, we are talking about approaching a lot of folks in South Africa and elsewhere with very low disposable income for this sort of thing. How does that look for you?
That's a question we constantly get asked, but I think the thing to remember is there are many more low-income citizens of our country than there are wealthy citizens, and I think that's where everybody speaks about the new untapped markets and they're looking for new business frontiers. We see that as the first frontier. That is where the need is. Wi-Fi. I could turn my camera and show you the mission statement. I'm going to read it to you, Claus. It says to strengthen the social fabric of South Africa by enabling wireless connectivity to enable connectivity for all South Africans. And all South Africans are not wealthy South Africans. Mm-hmm. All South Africans means all South Africans. And if we start saying, well, we're not going to go deploy in a poor area because we don't think there's a business return, I think we're not being a good corporate citizen, but there is business motivation for that because there is pent-up broadband demand. I recently only got fiber to my home myself, and my 3-year-old daughter is now using 3 gig a day on YouTube. Now, imagine you're an adult or a young adult that needs access to educational information and you're living in these environments, you have an absolute need to access the internet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think your approach is absolutely fantastic. And it sounds to me that you're really taking sort of a holistic socio-economic approach to the whole way that you're conducting your business, which I think is absolutely the right way, because there's a lot of different challenges and different dimensions here, which I think is great, the way that you're tackling it. So let's get into monetization just a little bit, because I know one of the things that you are, maybe if you don't have it currently, you're certainly working on, is actually delivering content, I guess, via the partners that operate on your network, and also beaming it into folks' homes via Wi-Fi, perhaps in some of these underserved areas. Can you comment a little bit on that?
So our monetization strategy is multi-layered. So you mentioned content. Obviously, the emergence of over-the-top video services are a big aspect. We're about to actually go live in 2 weeks with a major over-the-top video entity where you will have your monthly video subscription, and included in that will be your access package to get uncapped data for that video subscription. So it's a company called Showmax, which is a Netflix competitor. You will buy your Showmax subscription and you'll get uncapped data access for that. So that's certainly what we've seen from enablement. I think the content portal that I spoke around, it's free to use, but again, the point of monetization has shifted. You don't need to take a few cents out of the consumer's pocket. You can take it out of a brand's pocket that want to be messaging to them. So it's around, we have an advertising model, sponsored access or sponsored content access. Mm-hmm. And then something I alluded to as I left Cape Town with you last time was we naturally, because we own the infrastructure nationally, and to give you the idea on our scale, we're over 30,000 access points, cover more than 10 million square meters of indoor space, nearing about 1 million square meters of outdoor space. Is location-based analytics is obviously something that becomes incredibly valuable because we are able to form profiles and segments about the movements and usage habits of individuals. And that in itself, I think everybody says, big data is where the true value is going to come from. And that's certainly what we're focusing on. We've certainly had a lot of challenges in this respect, especially from our vendors. Nobody ever imagined, I think people imagined, you'd be a retailer that owned your branches, or you'd be a mall owner that owns your malls. Nobody ever imagined a company that would be doing everything. So we've really grappled with the scale challenges that have come with that.
Mm-hmm. And so that sounds absolutely fantastic. I love the vision. And so what are the next steps for you guys? Are you looking for investment, or you mentioned obviously that you're going to be launching a content product, OTT video product. Anything else in the pipeline from you guys?
So from an investment perspective, we're very fortunate in that we have two very large shareholders that are committed to investing in this business and see the vision. The one being Dimension Data, part of NTT from Japan, and the other one being Naspers, who are the biggest pay TV operator on the continent, and they own a significant share in Tencent. So from an investment perspective, our owners are more than capable of meeting that CapEx. Infrastructure, as you know, is very CapEx intensive, and they certainly have a long-term vision for the business, and they understand it's about investing, very aggressively upfront to get your long-tail returns. I think way too now from a business perspective is this holy grail of GSM offload. Everybody speaks around it globally. We're hoping to get some significant wins in that space. I think the evolution of voice over Wi-Fi, voice over LTE is also going to drive consumer understanding of that. And then really to focus around owners of communities to enable them on our network, to stop this focus around the traditional ISP or telco, but really to go to a bank that has 1 million users, to go to an FMCG company that wants to reward 5 million loyal users. I think those are the opportunities because they can use this as brand extension and messaging.
So much opportunity, and I commend you for taking on this fantastic work in South Africa. And by the way, I should say the offload thing is going to happen. I have no doubt about it. We're very close. I keep saying that, but we're close to seeing it happen in some places. And this new technology coming out, and it's going to be really good. So, but anyway, Grant, really good to have you on the show. And I hope we can get you back maybe in 6 months' time or so on to give us an update on all of this because it's exciting stuff. Do you accept?
Would love to do that, Klaus. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Pleasure to see you. Thanks.
Thanks, Klaus.
All right, folks. That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Grant Marais from Vast Networks for joining us. On our next program, I will be speaking to Wi-Fi startup Zenreach about their bid to empower millions of venues with the ability to monetize venue Wi-Fi. That's it for now, but tune in again next time, and thank you for watching.
Wi-Fi Now is a production of RCR TV News. To suggest a show topic or to learn more about Wi-Fi Now events, you can reach Claus Hetting at klaus@hettingconsulting.com. To find out more about Wi-Fi Now and all things wireless, visit rcrwireless.com.